It's my pleasure to introduce Joshua Freedman. He's a CEO of International Global Network 6 Seconds, the global leader for developing emotional intelligence in business community, in education system, and we're very happy that he's for the first time in Balkan region, and fortunately he came here in Macedonia. We are 6 Seconds partner for the Balkan region, and our company, EQ Excellence, today had a first EQ conference in this region about authentic leadership with high performances. So, I would like to have a few thoughts from Josh, and Josh, you're just welcome to say something more about 6 Seconds and something more about authentic leadership, how to become more authentic leaders today.
Thank you. I think that when we think about leadership is a people business, and it's about the relationship that we can create with others to enroll people towards an important future. And if we're going to actually lead people, we need to make a connection with them that builds trust, that builds motivation, that builds engagement. And one of the only tools that we have to do that is ourselves. And what is it that really is going to inspire somebody? What is it that's really going to engage somebody? What is it that's going to really build trust? It's the kind of leader that is worth following. And the reason we teach emotional intelligence is because having that self-awareness and being able to manage your responses to people instead of just reacting is critical to being that kind of leader who is worth following.
Would you like to recommend us how should we develop our emotional intelligence?
Well, the first step in the 6 Seconds process is to increase self-awareness. And that can be more reflection, it can be asking yourself questions, it can be coaching, it can be taking an assessment that's we now have in Macedonian.
Yes.
To really get insight into what's happening in yourself and how is your brain working and how are emotions working for you? How are you using emotions now? So from that self-awareness, then we can go into saying, okay, what are options that I have? And how can I use those emotions in different ways? So know yourself is the first step. Choose yourself is the second step. And then the third step is to say, where is it that I really want to go? That's about vision and about purpose, about increasing empathy and pursuing noble goals, which allows us to say, okay, this is what's really important. And when we connect with that, we're really able to enroll and engage others.
Yeah, that's correct. It's very usually to hear in 6 seconds that emotions drive people and people drive performance. What would you like to say something about that?
So the neuroscience about this is pretty interesting. I mean, we have different channels in our brain for processing data. And I think it actually makes sense if you consider our brain is about survival. And in order to survive and thrive, we have different kinds of data that we can use from our environment. But what the neuroscience is showing is that the emotional channel in our brain is actually the most powerful. So it's more powerful in our brain than visual information or logical information because it's most closely tied to survival. So we might not be paying attention to emotions consciously, but all of the time they're working to say, okay, what's happening in this environment? And from a leadership perspective, who's on my team? Who do I trust? Who don't I trust? Who's in? Who's out? Who's respecting? Who's disrespecting? We're constantly making that appraisal because we're pack animals. We are social creatures. And as social creatures, how we relate to others is all about our safety. So emotions are this constant source, and we can pretend to leave them out and say, oh, well, just let's be logical and leave emotions out of it. Well, that, of course, is totally illogical. Because if we really want to be logical, we need to confront reality that people are not just logical.
Yes.
we have this other side also. So emotions are there, they're present, they're a constant force, and they're driving us. The question is, are we going to just let that happen? Or are we going to be intentional and say, all right, wait a minute, let's use that force, let's use that drive to actually serve purpose, create performance.
I'm just curious, you have so much experience with big companies all around the world, from Japan, from China, Africa, Europe, America, everywhere. I can see that. What would you like to say about the biggest leaders? Can you just share your feelings and your thoughts? What kind of people they are? What are the strongest characteristics?
Well, I can answer that two ways. One way is from a research perspective, and the other is from a personal experience perspective. So we have a lot of data about leaders because we have these assessment tools. We have 360 assessment tools and team assessment tools and organization and individual assessment tools. So we have a lot of data, and we know that one of the biggest differentiators between managers and senior leaders is that senior leaders have higher skills in intrinsic motivation, they fuel their own fire, and pursuing noble goals. They have a vision, they're trying to go somewhere. From my personal experience, there are a lot of people I meet who have a business card of leader, but I don't feel inspired. I don't feel that sense of, okay, I want to go with you. There are a few who I've met, like, yeah, you know what, I would like to work for you. And I think that's a really interesting test. You know, you meet somebody, you say, okay, would I like to work for this person? Would I give that person my sweat and blood and tears? Would I go into the fire for that person? And I don't think there are that many people we meet where we say, yes, absolutely. But those people are deeply trustworthy. Their purpose is inspiring. They have a blend of arrogance and humility. They yes, this is important, we're going to go, but at the same time, I'm not better than you. You know, let's go together. There's not a formula for great leaders. This idea, follow this path. It doesn't work that way. It's about being who you are really well. And taking your strengths and really using them to ensure that you are that kind of leader who is worth following.
I'm aware that Harvard Business School are very interested about your practical experience, researchers about emotional intelligence. Can you just share with us some of your, ideas how new leaders should follow themselves and develop themselves?
So I think a lot of times when people come into a leadership position, or really any new role, in some ways they start behaving based on their sort of picture of that role. And you say, okay, so why are you all of a sudden acting this way? Well, that's how managers act. We need to find, when you look at a more mature leader, they start being more like themselves. So I'd say for young leaders, it's not a mask that you're putting on. It's not a role that you're playing. It's you doing a job, and your job is people. And I think this is a big issue for a lot of us when we're busy and we've got a lot to do, and we forget that leadership is a people business. And we start doing tasks and accomplishing this and taking care of that, and just forgetting that really this is a job about people. And if we are really going to be good at leading, we're going to focus on building really good relationships and starting with ourselves.
We depend on trust in ourselves, in our vision, in our values, and how do you think that we should build trust with others?
Well, I think you just said it, that we need to build trust with ourselves. And if we don't know ourselves, if we don't have the ability to say, okay, I know when something is okay and it isn't okay. I know when I'm at the edge of my limit versus I can go further. I know what I want versus what I need. I know who I am. Without those ingredients, it's very hard. I mean, why should somebody trust me if I haven't taken the time and energy to figure out how to trust myself and be worth trusting? Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of times we say, I want somebody to do this, I want somebody to do that, I want somebody to trust me. Hey, come on, follow me, trust me. Well, okay, but do you deserve it? And am I really being trustworthy? So, and am I really giving trust? So if we think of it as something that exists between us, and it's something that I can create on my side, and I can give, and I can be worth receiving, I can't control the other person. And if I take care of my side, again, being more aware, being more intentional, being more purposeful, then I think I can earn more trust.
One more question. How emotional intelligence can help people to be better in their career and just develop career spin?
So again, our research shows that there's a correlation between increasing emotional intelligence and increasing career success. So if we look at entry-level employees versus managers versus senior managers, we see increasing levels of emotional intelligence. Statistics, we can't tell what causes what, right? Are they increasing their emotional intelligence because they're in these more complex roles, or are they rising because of their emotional intelligence? The data doesn't exactly tell us, but leaders tell us, I want people. I want somebody who can engage and enroll and inspire people. I have plenty of smart people here. That's something I hear a lot. I live in Silicon Valley. We work with a lot of high-tech companies. Well, we recruit the smartest people in the world. But that's not who I want to lead. Okay, so go be an engineer. But if you want to lead people and you want to grow into somebody who leads more people and again is worth following, then emotional intelligence is really the differentiator. It's not a nice thing. It's the thing that sets apart okay leaders from great leaders. And that's something we can all experience. So if you think about somebody in your life who's been a strong leader, you think, okay, well, what sets that person apart? Oh, great financial skills? Probably not. Oh, well, that guy could really work a computer. Probably not. I mean, those things are significant. Don't get me wrong. It's like, thank goodness, that there are people who can do this. But when you think in your life about who is somebody who you really want to follow, probably you're thinking about things like, well, they're self-aware and they're motivating and you can count on their word and they listen and they role model and they take risks and they trust me. And those are all tied to emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Josh, I would like to speak with you days, but I believe that there was first time in our country, and I wish you welcome.
Thank
more
you.
Than once.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for your support, and we are very, very successful with this conference. Once again, I wish you best.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that this conference and our work will go in development.
Thank you.
Thank you once again.